Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show. This is episode 1402, and it's Q&A day, people. If you're new to the show, this study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the day we take questions from our audience, people who listen every day on Zoom, got a handful of those, people that sometimes listen on Zoom, and sometimes people that we've never met before that are out there in the podcast space of the universe, and they email their questions, or if they're official community supporting members, and they can write on the chat board. And then we take these questions and we try to answer them on Saturdays. Welcome to the show.
There you go.
Hi, Miss Mara. Miss Mara is here spinning the dials.
Good morning.
She nursed me yesterday. Me and Shereen were going camping last night. Set up everything to camp, and all of a sudden I was fetching wood, and I got attacked by like 4 wasps.
Oh.
You know, I was just like, whatever. And then all of a
You
sudden,
got stung 4 times?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, it put me out. It like I thought I was going into, what do they call that?
Anaphylactic shock.
Anaphylactic shock.
All right.
I couldn't do anything. I had to lay down, and I like canceled our whole trip, and I just went to bed at like super early, like 7:30, and my leg was raised, and Mara had to like suck out the venom with her mouth. Just
She
kidding.
did not. She cut an X.
Cut an X. That's what you do with snake
Just
bite.
tie a tourniquet.
Spin it. But you could just feel the venom pumping through my leg. It was horrible. Anyway, Bhakti.
Ever tell you about that time I caught a wasp in my guru's room?
No. Did he kill it?
There was a wasp in the room. And he like looked at me, you know, like the disciple is supposed to catch the wasp. You know? It's like, so I caught it in my hand. And then I walked over to the door, and I opened up the door, and I let it go. And just as I was letting go, it stung me.
Oh.
You know, and I looked at, and I was just kind of looking at my hand. It was very painful, but like when you're serving like that, you know, you just kind of like endure it.
Yeah.
And then he looked at me and said, "Did it sting you?" And I said, "Yeah." And then he said, that was like a Mississippi mud wasp or something. He had some name for it, like, you know. And he said, "No, you got to shake it in your hand, like when you have it, you know."
Drive it crazy and throw it.
And throw it.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't think I had that bad of a reaction, but I was out.
Well, 4 stings, that's a lot. That's a
A
lot
lot
of
of
juice.
venom.
Yeah. And I was like, well, are you allergic to wasp stings? And you're like, I'm not sure. I haven't been stung since I was a little kid. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. She was lovingly by my side.
There you go. It can be a very painful sting.
You know, it wasn't the pain. My whole body just felt weird. I've seen these videos where people are just getting attacked by a swarm. I don't know how they do that.
Okay.
I was thinking about jumping in the pond, and then my 10-year-old was like, "Don't jump in the pond. They'll wait for you." I was like, "Well, I'd rather them wait for me than continue stinging me." They're
Like when
stingers
you're getting
going in
attacked,
and
you're thinking.
out and in and out. They don't lose their stinger like bees. They just can go in
Come
and out,
back.
in and out. Yeah, someone give us some wasp info.
All right.
Anyway,
Thanks for sharing that, Raghu.
just thought I'd share that. I feel better.
Burning a little karma there, right?
Great. Burn a little karma, because I have killed wasps before. I've sprayed their entire nest and killed them all. So
That means they still have to come back and kill you. They haven't killed you yet.
They're working on it.
They try. Maybe if we hit them with 4 at once, they'll take them out.
All right. So, Mara, announcements, dear.
Yeah. Wisdom of the Sages is hosting our 2nd annual spiritual retreat in the sacred city of Mayapur,
Woo!
January 27th to February 3rd.
So, what a lot of people, what they're doing is they're going to the Wisdom of the Sages retreat have to go over down to Eco Village from the 12th to the 24th. Then they chill out in Mumbai and go to the Flower Festival that weekend.
Yeah.
And then the Monday, we all hop on a plane, fly to Calcutta,
So
short
the
flight.
the retreat the ends on Friday morning
Yeah.
or Thursday night, either way. And then Friday you go to Mumbai. Saturday is the big festival in Mumbai. You
Yeah.
got Sunday to chill in Mumbai, which can be nice.
It's very nice chilling in Mumbai.
And then we fly the next day to Mayapur.
It's great. It's a great plan.
There's a big group, right?
And Mayapur is one. If you are sort of like an opted in, I love this stuff. I'm into Krishna. Then Mayapur is like a transcendental Disneyland. It's really quite wonderful. Look at you! Look up in the sky. It is like.
I don't think of
Well,
it that way
imagine a little
myself,
kid
but
at Disneyland. It's like woohoo!
right.
Mayapur's like that. It's a
in
big
that sense, I
woohoo.
suppose. Yeah.
You know, everybody's practicing bhakti. People from all over the world come there. It's like the home of kirtan. Kirtan's going on everywhere. It's
Ganga's
wonderful.
flowing right through there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Okay.
So if you want to register for that, you can go to wisdomofthesages.com and then go to retreats, and it's listed there.
Right down the menu, right?
Yeah. Also, Sage Group signups. We got 2 more days to sign up for your Sage Group.
Monday's the last day.
Yeah, there's only 25 spaces left, so sign up today.
Yeah, there's a couple of those that have there's like a ladies group that's wide open. Maybe it's because it's the time. It's 7 o'clock on a Thursday night. That's being taught by Kasturi Manjari and Anuradha. She's got 5 spots left in hers. That's on a Monday. Haryashva still got 3 spots left. I mean, that's got to be the most fun group there is, you know?
Arya, you got get in that Sage group. You're crazy if you're not in that Sage group.
You're great.
I want to join Haryashva Sage. I talked to him yesterday on the phone. I love
Oh, you
that
did?
man.
He's just like a ball of devotional fun.
He is. No ego. Man has no ego.
No, he's great. All right.
Stacy's asking the question: are you booking the flight for the group from Mumbai to Mayapur? Don't worry
We'll
about
tell
it.
you the flight.
Yeah, we'll tell you the flight, and then we all book it separately.
Yeah.
We'll give guidance which one to jump on.
Are you
And
ready?
isn't it fun to be on a flight with a bunch of friends?
It is fun.
It is fun. It's super fun. And have kirtan on the plane. When the plane lands, you all go, Harry. You can have a little key.
All right. Okay, Rug, let's do this.
All right. This
questions.
is from Bhakta Steve, Harry Bull Bhakta Steve.
What does he ask?
He says,
He wrote this on the new platform, on the Sage
All right.
Community platform.
he's diving right into this. Thank you so much for your service. I was wondering what you thought of AI, created devotional art. It is reaching is it reaching a new, broader audience and exposing them to bhakti, or are we losing the true craft and depth of devotional art? I would love to know your thoughts on this. You know what, Kastuba, I did this a kirtan in Sarajevo, and the guy who's setting it up, who had the space, wanted to do some service for us, and he set up a back with a bunch of screens, like a projector. But
Okay.
he wasn't a devotee. He was a nice guy, but he wasn't a devotee. So I think he just
AI'd.
AI'd a bunch of devotional art,
Okay.
and it was like it was wrong. It was wrong.
It was just
didn't work.
wrong.
Like it had like Krishna, holding a dog or something like that. Something like you wouldn't normally see. Something.
Okay.
It just like it brings things together. Krishna is standing next to Lady Sita. You know what I mean? It
Right.
was just mismatched together. So AI didn't
Ras
quite. They got to
Abbas.
keep working on that AI a little bit more. There's 2 things I find in art. Is one, the enjoyer of the art, like seeing a piece of art's like it touches my heart. And another thing, and I think that affects you in a bona fide way. Then there is the artist who's actually getting something deep out of that art, and that's a whole like incredible passion. In the same way I used to write songs to glorify Krishna and
With
to
deep,
glorify the
incredible
spiritual path.
passion.
Yeah, you have to sit there and you have to go deep and to really think about what you're going to write and how you can convey a message. The artist has to go into the mood of the gopis, the mood of Krishna, the mood of Balaram, and they have to really feel that. What is the cow thinking when the cow is looking up at
What is
Krishna?
the cow
So
thing?
it's an incredible meditation, and you lose that, of course, with AI. And I'm sure to the degree that it's a great devotee making that artwork, it also has a different effect on the seer of the art. This is just me guessing, because you understand, like, people who are actually very, very have a lot of devotion, and you hear their kirtan, it affects you in a deeper way as well. But I think there's something to be said about the hearer also. There's a benefit of just hearing and your own heart being touched by the kirtan. So I'm equating like kirtan and art sort of similar, and I'm trying to like
Okay.
come to my conclusions based on that.
Well,
Which
that
what?
devotional art is like kirtan in the form of art, right?
Yeah,
What does kirtan mean? Kirti means to glorify, so it's like,
yeah.
yeah, I think, the majority of that AI art that I see just turns me off. But I will admit, there's been one or two times I've been like, oh, like, oh, that really is something there. There's been a couple times, but, we need to look at art the way, well, let's look at it two ways, the way Tolstoy looked at it and the way Prabhupada looked at it. Tolstoy spoke of art. He had a definition of art.
Ooh, tell me.
He said that when the artist feels an emotion and then they invest that emotion into the work of art, and then when the audience connects with that work of art, if they feel the same emotion that the artist invested into it, like in others, it's a transfer of emotion, right? From the artist into the work of art to the audience. If the audience feels the same emotion that the artist had and invested into the artwork, he says that's art, and nothing else is art. That's the way that he explained it, and I think that's important in terms of devotional art. Most important in terms of devotional art. That, as Raghunath was saying, the idea is that the devotee is investing their devotion into that art. And if you go, like, for instance, this is why temples can be so powerful, particularly like in India, there are these temples that have been there for centuries. And what it is it's just like so much devotion has been invested in that space in terms of the architecture,
Mm.
in terms of the art in the temple, in terms of the deities that have been, that are on the altar, the decoration that's there, the beauty in the puja, the devotion that's invested in the music that's sung there, in the worship on the altar. Everyone's investing their devotion into that space, and it's vibrating with that devotion.
Yeah.
And you walk in there and it's transferred to you. You're feeling it. And as you're saying, the more deep and sincere and genuine that devotion is, the more that you feel it, and it's transformative. It's a real thing. It's not just like, it can't be done artificially.
You know what? You could take this to the another art form, which is cooking, right?
Sure.
If you have food that's cooked, but not made by a devotee as an offering to Krishna, what do you eat? What are you offering when you take that food? Okay, thank you for this, and you offer it. It's a little bit. I think it's important to offer your food, even if it was cooked by a non-devotee. But is it the same thing as prasad that's cooked and
Cooked
offered
with
on the
love.
altar?
Yeah.
Cooked with love. So it's
With
food
emotion in it.
cooked, art drawn or painted, music, kirtan sang by. It's a much deeper thing.
Yeah, and that connects with what I wanted to share about Srila Prabhupada. And he had one thing. When you think about it, it's really special that when Prabhupada came to the Western world, a bunch of other swamis, were kind of arriving at around the same time. Different spiritual leaders from India.
Swami
had
snatchy a wallet.
They all had books. But Srila Prabhupada was adamant that he wanted his books full of paintings.
Hmm.
Even that's something that most people don't do. You don't have like a whole section of paintings inside your book. Every one of his books, like all of them, he wanted a whole section of paintings. And he he wasn't concerned about going out and hiring the most
Right.
talented artists. What he did was he trained his own disciples in how to convey Krishna and the spiritual world through painting. Even the original Krishna book, which is like it's like anyone that held that book in their hands, like, this is different than any other book I held. It was like this
Right.
big silver book but had all these in the original Krishna book, the paintings are kind of simplistic, but he just wanted Krishna to be represented accurately. And he really trained them. Like, they would write letters to him, or he would give specific information. Like, he had rules, like
Sure.
Krishna should not be when he's in a painting, he should never be alone.
Yeah.
If you're going to understand who he is, he's never alone. His love and the exchange of love is his only interest, and he's constantly surrounded by loving devotees. Even, he said, even if it's a peacock, but he's never alone. He shouldn't be painted that way. If someone brought a picture of Krishna, painting of Krishna, he said, no, why is he alone? Or if they brought him a painting, he would say, where is this mentioned in Shastra? What you're painting right here, I don't want your imaginative idea of what Krishna is doing. I want what the Srimad Bhagavatam is saying that he's doing, right? Otherwise, we're not talking about Krishna. We're not connecting with Krishna. We're connecting with your idea of Krishna, which
And
can be a
our
completely
ideas
false one.
can be perhaps
Created
completely,
in our own mind, not in
dented,
spiritual reality.
broken in the mode of passion and ignorance, etc.
Yeah. So he was really, he was really particular about that. And he called, you mentioned the idea of, like, you have Krishna and he's holding a dog, or you got Krishna and he's with Sita. There's a term, Sanskrit term, ras abhas.
The mixing of two things that don't mix.
Yeah, it's like a bad
It's
blend.
would you like some, like, for example, would you like, instead of sprinkles on your vegan ice cream, would you like some spaghetti on your vegan ice cream?
Yeah, it's not that spaghetti is bad or that the ice cream is bad, but they don't go together. It's a bad mix. And people do this. If you don't understand Krishna Lila, you're very prone to presenting it with rasabhas. It's said that Sri Chaitanya, when he was living in Puri, so it was like Krishna himself in the form of a sannyasi, just living there in the city, and there was so much excitement about him. And a lot of the different artists, they wanted to write poetry and present it to him, or write a drama and they wanted him to present it to him. And, I don't know if it was to please him or maybe it was to get his endorsement. Who knows? I'm sure different people approach with different motives. But it's said that his secretary, right? When we say secretary, maybe it doesn't convey, but he had a right-hand man there, Swarup Damodar Goswami. And any of that kind of art, any of that poetry, any of those dramas, it would have to go through him. It would not, he would screen it out for Rasabhas. He'd be like, no, I'm sorry, you don't understand. Not only is he not going to like this is going to totally turn him off,
Right.
But that was also a way of training, And so Srila Prabhupada put his artists through that kind of training. You're not getting that with AI. Although, it would be interesting to take all the Srila Prabhupada's instructions on art and put that into the algorithm or whatever, into the programming for
Maybe
AI art.
AI can be used in a spiritual way.
You never know. But one last thing I just want to share is Prabhupada called those paintings windows to the spiritual world. And I think that there's a lot to that. If you meditate on that and look deep into the paintings of his, I always have, this is my favorite painting right behind me here.
Yeah.
Krishna Balaram and all the cows coming back from Govardhan at the end of the day. It's Bhagavatam says that this vision is the perfection of the eyes. It's painted, under Srila Prabhupada's instruction, by artists that were trained by him. And I can stare into that, and I'm looking into the spiritual world, and I feel it,
It's a great phrase, windows into the spiritual world.
Yeah.
I wanted to extend a little bit more of what we were saying about cooking, as opposed to just getting some food and offering that. You take that one step further, and growing the food that you cook to offer to Krishna is even more powerful than just picking up stuff. The other day we brought in the whole thing of peaches, got a head of cabbage, got a bunch of tomatoes, and it was just like, this is incredible. We're growing this for Krishna. That's the intention behind the growing.
That eggplant too that I cooked for you yesterday.
The eggplant.
Plants, yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's the best, right? When you just grow it yourself, prepare
And there was
yourself, cook
something
yourself, offer it.
so, and it's like we had Tarun go out and my son go out and like, okay, cut the cauliflower. And we had to cut the cauliflower. It was something you've grown this and you're cutting it and now you're going to offer it. It's something so grounding and I
Oh,
can't say it else except you feel like this is so spiritual. This is the spiritualize your garden to the highest point. It's one thing just being around plants, watching them grow, nurturing them, but they magically grow on their own. And you see the spirit behind that. But it's another thing. And now I take the fruit of this and I offer it back to the one who has created all this stuff in the first place. It goes complete circle.
there you go.
All right. Hope that was okay, Bhakti Steve. AI.
What's next?
It's from Alexandra, 821.
Via the new the Sage
New
Community
platform. All right. People are using the new platform. I'm totally new to all this and I like it already. Because if you're new to it, it's just
Totally new to all this.
well, because it's just a lot of crazy stuff out there, a little stuff that's fantastic, out of this world. I'm totally new to all this and joined this community after reading Yamuna Devi's biography book. I don't really understand the whole devotion to the guru aspect of bhakti still. My question is, how are we to look at relationship between guru and student in a healthy way? Isn't worship supposed to be to God? What if the guru ends up being corrupt later down the line and indulges in their passions, but one is so wrapped up in the worship of the guru that they are blinded by their shortcomings? Great question.
All right.
Great question. We're suspicious. We're a little like, we have some discernment, and that's a healthy thing, especially when you bring it in. First of all, we have to figure out what a guru is and what a guru is not. Oftentimes, guruship is based on a cult of personality. Everybody loves him. Everybody's treating him like a guru. He must be a guru or she must be a guru, but actually a person who's actually teaching bhakti, there is criteria to be that teacher. And that's what we're learning when we study the Bhagavatam as well. The Bhagavatam is sharpening our discernment to choose actually who are the teachers we're going to let in their life. And a lot of it has to examine with the way this person lives and the way the person treats themselves, treats other people, treats their students, and the way their behavior is. And I'm not going to say you can't get cheated, but we're trying to worship Krishna. And if the person's helping me worship Krishna in one sense, they're also a guru of sorts. They may not be a pure devotee guru, but if a person is trying to help you worship Krishna, we should understand that Krishna sent this person for me, for my benefit, and for my growth. And I always reserve a place in my mind. My goal is to worship God and to worship the devotees. But at the same time, I don't throw my discernment out. I think that should always be there, especially if there's a fear of being cheated about something. But we should understand that there is even if the person isn't pure, they're still being used by God to help me. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily if I'm going to do necessarily everything that they say, but they can definitely inspire me to grow. And if there is an obvious fall away from a spiritual path, then it's my responsibility to appreciate what they've given and pray for their shortcomings instead of condemn them and to say, lash out, oh, you were never sincere about anything. Oftentimes people have a lot of sincerity, but Maya is overwhelming and illusion is overwhelming. So we should appreciate what they give us and really value what they give us and value that God is using this person for me. And appreciate that and want to and see that in them and overlook some shortcoming they have. A lot of times they have teachers that have so many good qualities, but they have a tiny thing that rubs me the wrong way. Big deal. Big deal. Why look at the moon, which can light up the whole sky and it's so bright and you don't even notice the other stars when that full moon is out and just say, Oh, look at the moon. It's got little pock marks on it. Who cares? Look how beautiful the moon is. So that's the analogy that they use in the Vedic teachings about, someone who with great qualities, but we're overlooking all their great qualities and just seeing their shortcomings. That says more about me. You want to take the baton with this and run with it, Kostuba?
Well,
There's
yeah,
a
well,
lot to be said.
I was going to just say that there's a lot to be said. So let's maybe start here, because Alexandra, was that it? Alexandra asked, "Isn't worship supposed to be to God?" And yes, absolutely correct. This idea of the relationship between the disciple and the guru, and the element of worship that's there. We'll talk about worship. We'll define worship. Well, let's go there right now.
Okay.
I have a definition. Worship: the feeling or expression of reverence or adoration for a deity. Feeling that you have, or the expression of reverence or adoration. The acts or rites that make up a formal expression of that, or adoration or devotion comparable to religious homage shown towards a person or a principle. Okay. So the idea of what a guru is, this has to be thought about carefully. In our tradition, in the Vaishnava traditions, and in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, this isn't just a casual thing that we just throw around. It's a very deep subject. So much has been written about it and said about it in our ancient texts and in the commentators to those texts. The idea is that, exactly as you say, worship is meant for God, and what the guru is a person through which God's message is coming through, or through which the energy of God is coming through. It's a person that's dedicated their body, their mind, their words to God. And therefore, they're kind of like moving around the world, vibrating that message all the time. It's coming through their words and their teachings, and it's coming through their actions and how they live their life. So kind of God is vibrating through that person. That's the idea. So when one worships the guru, and we can talk about the forms that takes and all that, but the adoration and the expressions of adoration that one feels for the guru and expresses towards the guru is meant to, we're meant to feel that because God vibrates through you, and when he does, I feel it and it changes me. I honor God in you, right? I'm honoring God flowing through you. And the person, the guru, is feeling like it's not actually me that they're showing this adoration and reverence. I am not the recipient of that. That goes to those before me, who were vibrating this and handing it down to me, and ultimately to God. It's the principle of God flowing through these people that's being honored, and it'll be honored wherever we see it. That is key. That's so important. If someone takes on the role of a guru and doesn't understand that, then it's gonna, we were talking about this earlier in the week, right? Now there's that they could so easily fall into the pitfall of enjoying that reverence or enjoying the expressions of adoration, and everything that they might have is going to leak out now. It's going to just, because they don't even understand. The whole thing got subverted.
It's a clogged drain. They're holding that praise for their own instead of passing it back.
It's meant
the drains
to flow.
become clogged. Yeah.
Yeah. So that goes to the question, what if a guru ends up being corrupt later on down the line? Corrupt is kind of a strong word, but in one sense it's a very accurate word. What was just like a file on a computer gets corrupted, it was working purely before, and now an element has been added where it's not functioning correctly anymore, so it's been corrupted. What do you do then? Alexandra's asking. And we can answer that in two ways. In one sense, it's tragic, because that delicate, tender faith that we have, that's so hard to have in this world, which is so corrupt. You went and you tried to place it in the right place, and then you got disappointed. In one sense, it's heartbreaking and it's tragic. On another level, though, on a very practical level, you could say it's kind of like this. It's kind of like, well, there's a light bulb in my house and I use this extension cord, and then the extension cord broke, what am I supposed to do? Well, you're supposed to go out and get another extension cord and put it in place so that the energy's flowing again, right? If you felt Krishna's energy flowing through that person, if it inspired you to serve purely and selflessly, and they no longer do that, well, then find the other place where that energy's flowing, and go there and feel that connection again.
That's a great point, because sometimes people are looking for an excuse to not go further in their bhakti. So they say, well, he screwed up or she screwed up, and therefore
I'm off.
I'm
the
out of
hook.
here.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, that just means you're just giving up.
Right. And so this tendency to worship, let's be clear about this. It is in us. It's in everyone, even the people that claim they don't have it. We see it everywhere. The expression or the feeling of adoration for another. We see it, and we see it played out in all kind of ceremonies. Award ceremonies. They roll out the red carpet. Oh, these are special people. And then they offer them this award. And so many things like that. Someone is an author of a book. That book changed my life. I'm going to stand in line, reverentially, just waiting for the opportunity, that I can stand up and meet this person. And then I'm going to have them sign their name in my book. And that'll mean something special to me because of the adoration that I have for them, because of how they've touched my life. We see this kind of thing all over the place. It's not like, it's not just some crazy religious thing. It's in us. If an important person walked, like, let's say, we're sitting in a room, and whether it's a president or, a big celebrity or something like that, generally people are going to the attention is going to go that even they'll stand up, right? Oh, look who just showed up. Whoa. It's dormant in us. It's natural in us. So what the Bhakti tradition is doing is saying, let's carefully consider that tendency that's within us, and let's direct it in such a way where it's most beneficial, where our adoration and our reverence isn't directed towards the temporary, fallible things of this world, but it's directed towards that eternal spiritual energy flowing through a person. Hopefully the person lives up to it. We live in an age, it's a challenging age, where it's Kali Yuga, so it's hard for people not to get corrupted. It's an ancient tradition that was brought to the Western world where people haven't had lifetimes of cultivating this already. So a lot of the people that are new to it have sincerely taken it up and will play that role of guru and may not succeed. But it doesn't mean that the principle is wrong. It just means that the execution of carrying that principle failed in this case. So it's a very special idea. It's practical. It's also got a mystical side to it. The book that you read, Alexandra, about Yamuna Devi and her relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Here you have two people, very qualified guru, very qualified disciple, someone that, she was a special lady, by any measure. A special mind, a special heart, very skilled in so many ways, incredibly deep sincerity. And when she connected with Prabhupada, she felt, she looked at this man and she said, as like a 70-year-old man, he left his world and left any sense of security, ended up on New York's Bowery, living in a loft with like a LSD, headed artist, gets chased by him with a knife. He's out on the street, walking. People don't know what the Bowery was back then. That was like a skid row like you can't imagine. He came here to share this knowledge. He lived it. He taught it. He so expertly, he would wake up in the middle of the night, at midnight, and write for hours, just to convey this knowledge. He had a most brilliant way of translating it, not just translating it from the language, but like kind of communicating it in a way that the entire world could benefit from. Whereas before it was like kind of like these archaic texts that nobody really knew how to engage with. He made it come alive in people's life. He showed her patience and kindness and love and shared with her something more precious than anything she had experienced in her life. And she expressed that through her adoration and through her reverence. That's called worship. And one last point that I want to share with this is, like we have this statement in English. I'd imagine other languages probably have a similar statement, which is like, "Is nothing sacred?" We say that, right? Like,
Right.
isn't maybe someone tells like a crude joke about something that's very dear to our heart.
Sure.
We say, "Is nothing sacred?" Like, isn't there something in this world that we can show a little reverence to because it's special and it's meaningful and it uplifts us? And that's what guru worship is. In other words, like, isn't there someone in this world that we can show honor to and because of the quality of their life and the quality of their teachings? And the etiquette that comes in guru worship, like when I was trained as a disciple, if my guru walked into the room, I stood up, I bowed down, and I stood there. Like then he would say, "Okay, sit down." It was like if he walked out of the room and walked back in, I'd do the same thing again. That kind. If he was sitting, I wouldn't sit on the same level as him. I would sit below him. That was like this etiquette is created so that we hold the right sentiments in our heart to what's most precious and sacred and meaningful, so that you engage with it with that attitude of how special it is, for the purpose of your being able to absorb it and what's the word I'm looking for? Like, so that it becomes assimilated into you, assimilated in your mind, assimilated in your character. If you don't show it the right respect and right reverence, you begin to see it as, oh, it's familiar, it's ordinary, nothing special. The etiquette is so that you keep it sacred in your mind and in your heart, and that's when it flows. It's like electricity, just like Krishna's flowing like electricity through the guru, who's like the conductor of the electricity. And what kind of like keeps that flow, powerful, is that we have the right sentiments, the right knowledge, and the right lifestyle. And so the sentiments that we have, if just like if someone, two students may have the best teacher at, like, let's say sports, there are these like legendary coaches, right? Like in college football or basketball, like a John Wooden, like throughout his life, everyone was like, this is a special man. He not only does he have a brilliant idea of how to coach basketball, but he instills good values in all of the players and so on. And one player may go there and with a real understanding, like, I am so fortunate that I'm going to be trained by this coach. This is such a rare opportunity, and if you go in with that attitude and maintain that attitude, you will absorb like a sponge all that person has to offer. And another person may go into like, I'm the star, coach, whatever coach, let me just get out of my way and let me do my thing. And that person is going to have a very different experience, And so that's what guru worship is about. If you really understand what it is, you can see practically how it works. And if you feel it in your life, you can feel how it works. And if you see it operating well, granted, there's a lot of failures in this realm for sure. That's why it needs to be coming in an authentic tradition. It needs to be, otherwise people don't even know how grave it is. You gotta, you study it, you try to study it more and understand it more, and I think you'll see just what a sacred thing it can be.
I like the point you're making. Like, a lot of this also falls on the studentship. What
Sure.
is the quality and the character of the student?
Yeah.
It's really easy to say, oh, this guy's not sincere, she's not sincere, he's not sincere. How about you? Are you sincere? Do you
Oh.
have character? Are you just capricious, whimsical? And then when things get tough, I bail out, find some fault so I can make some other excuse and go my own path. So there is the character of the student. In order for that connection to be very deep, yeah, the guru does have to have those deep, grounded qualities, but the student also has to have some character themselves.
Mm. And then the guru is also honoring the student, right? Like that's how the genuine relationship is that the guru's thinking, who am I? I'm just trying to represent this energy that's been handed down to me and not get in the way. We say a transparent via media. That's really what the guru is, right? Transparent via media. I'm not interfering in the flow of this energy. I'm just like the postman, kind of handing it down. I have to hand it down in the way I live and in the way I speak. But in one sense, I'm just the postman, taking a message, handing it down. But the guru is looking at the disciples and saying, look at these sincere people out of millions and millions of people in this world who are taking no interest. They're dedicating their life with such sincerity and coming to me and saying, please, and there's another element to this, why it's so sacred, why it's so special. If we study these texts, we'll get a zoomed out perspective. There's one analogy that's used, right? It's saying, like, say there's a turtle swimming in the ocean, and there's like a log of wood floating in the ocean, and then there's like how like there's a knot in the wood,
like a board, a piece.
Let's say a board.
Like a
Yeah, let's say a board, a plank. Okay, and
that's
then
floating.
and then there's a knot in the plank, and sometimes the knot in the wood gets knocked out, so you have like a hole where the knot was. They say that if this one plank is floating, and then there's a turtle and he's floating around in the big, huge ocean, and when the turtle comes out of the water, if its head goes right through that hole, like, what are the chances?
What are the chances?
And so if you look at the countless numbers of living entities, not just on this earth, but in this universe, right, that are suffering in a cycle of samsara, that are being born and then dying and being born again without coming to the knowledge that points you in the direction of the complete evolution of the soul, then those that are actually getting that, it's such a rare thing. It's like, and it's kind of like we're walking in a desert, and this world works in such a way where we get confused. The material energy will just have us thinking, oh, the world is a good place one moment, and then it'll pull the rug out from under us, like, oh my God, I'm suffering so much. And then as soon as things get a little bit nice, we forget just how vulnerable we are.
Right.
And so when someone comes and gives you the knowledge by which you can transcend the entire thing, it is very rare and very special, and it would be most unfortunate if we lost touch with that, if we lost touch with the understanding of how special and rare that is. And therefore, it is the connection between the disciple and the guru is sometimes framed in the etiquette and rituals of worship, so that you keep it sacred, so that you don't forget how special it is and just slip into your lower consciousness again.
All right.
It's
good. I think we beat that one down.
All right.
Exhausted every.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say
next
exhausted.
one's-
I say we could go on and on about that, but yeah, I think we covered it.
The next one's from Claire via the website.
The
Everyone's using the website.
platform. Sage Community Platform. You gotta,
Sage Community Platform.
There you
Sage
go.
Community Platform.
Thank you.
Sage
Okay.
Community Platform. Are you a
Linda's
member of
over
the
there
Sage
like that.
Community Platform yet? This is a community supported podcast. You can be part of the Sage Community Platform.
And on that platform, there's a place where there's like the message boards, right? Where there's like a lot of exchange going on. What's that called, Mara? On
The community chat.
the community chat.
Sage,
So right
on the
there-
Sage Community Platform.
There's like a lot of different threads on different subjects, and one thread is like where you can put questions for the Saturday shows.
On the Sage Community Platform.
Thank
This is from Claire K via the Sage Community Platform, 820 on 821. Thank you so much for your service. I see you this October in
Claire.
India.
Oh,
yeah.
all right.
Claire
Okay,
K.
Claire.
Hey, Claire.
Claire is the name of a great saint, right? Chiara.
Saint Chiara.
Yeah.
Is it?
That was St. Francis, like she was kind of contemporary of St. Francis. They were served together.
I don't know.
You know about Chiara? Well, you're going to find out all about that when we go to Assisi, Raghunath. You told me you went to Assisi, saw all that there was to see. You don't even know who Chiara is?
I had two toddlers at the time.
Okay,
you know
all
what
the
I
more
saw? I
reason
saw
why
a
you need to go back.
I saw a gelato stand. I saw like a wandering goat that we spent time with.
So all the
And
more reason for us to go back.
and
This
a
is great.
swing set. That's what I saw of. A swing set and a seesaw. Okay, I was at my childhood friend's house who was a devotee for Lord
How lucky!
Balaram.
That's like a turtle popping its head right through
Yeah,
the hole in
hearing
the
about
wall.
Lord Balaram at such a young age. I was at my childhood friend's house who is a devotee for Lord Balaram's appearance day.
All right.
Personally, I was really tired. I worked 2 12-hour shifts.
It's like 24
What?
hours.
It's 24 hours.
Okay.
I cooked all day Monday for the offering
Excellent.
and showed up to her house with my 10-year-old son who did not want to be there.
Uh-oh.
Kids. That's exhausting. I feel you. I feel you, Claire. Anyway, we are on Zoom with a devotee. I won't mention where because I might give the devotee away.
Okay.
Doing a reading about Lord Balaram with the areas of Sanskrit, which we all know takes practice to read.
Areas of Sanskrit. I guess it just means with the Sanskrit words.
Meaning reading the Sanskrit words,
Yeah.
and it's like, you're reading a whole different language. It was my turn to read,
Okay.
and I went second after her. And every Sanskrit word I read, she corrected me. By the third correction, losing my train of thought every time, I politely said, "Will you please stop correcting me?" I continued to read Vyasadeva and Vyasadev's name came up.
By the way, you misspelled Vyasadeva. Just kidding.
No, I'm just kidding. Don't correct her. She's going to lose it. And then Takura's name came up both
I guess
times.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur, perhaps.
She corrected me.
Oh, man.
I had enough. I get
She's
that.
about to snap.
I get that. I had enough. I stood up, put my head, I stood up, put the typed out reading that was on the paper on the couch and said, blah, 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 and went into the bathroom to calm down.
Okay.
That's my happy place too, the bathroom. I wasn't rude. I didn't say any bad words. Well, you did say blah, blah, blah.
Well, we don't know what blah, blah,
maybe
blah
you
was.
thought
I don't know if
blah,
she
blah.
said literally blah, blah, blah. I think she shared a few things.
I thought you were sarcastically saying blah, blah, blah. But maybe she just went, okay, I'm going to step out for a second. I came out of the bathroom, went up to my son and said we were leaving. We left. Okay, halt. So this is a good one. Halt. Ever heard that one?
I didn't, but now
Are you hungry? Are you angry? Are you lonely? Are you tired? She was probably all of those. Hungry.
Oh, so the idea is if you feel one of those, you should pause.
If you
before
feel
you
one of
say
those
something
things, those are one of those
stupid.
things that make people act out in their lower self.
Right. So you halt.
Right? So halt.
Hungry.
Stop it right there. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired.
What if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired all the time?
Then you better just not do anything, or you better expect that you might do something. No, it means to take care of those needs first
before you react in a way that may be damaging.
Yeah, and at least step out of yourself and see this is what's going on. I was getting so frustrated with this person, but this is going on.
Okay.
So, do we correct other devotees when reading Sanskrit?
She said we're fine now, right? We're fine now. We made up the next day.
Okay, yeah.
But
do we correct other devotees when reading Sanskrit, or am I just full of pride and ego? I'd say it's probably a little bit of both in there. I remember being a new devotee and like everybody correcting me, like for whatever people took out on them, they're taking it out on me. It's sort of like
I do that a little too much to you, Raghunath. Forgive me.
You do it every day on a regular basis.
Well, now you're doing it to me.
But you know what? Sometimes I like it. And sometimes I'm just like, sometimes in my brain, there's a big whatever going on.
Okay.
And sometimes if I'm just like honest, I was like, it's got a good point there. It's got a good point.
I live to be corrected.
Yeah, but we have to be careful who we're corrected from. The whole I live to be corrected is not
you're shooting that down.
Okay. I'm going to correct that right now because there's a lot of people that hate your guts. And if you try to be corrected by them, they're not going to make you become a better
Well, that doesn't
person.
mean I'd live to be corrected by everyone.
Okay, so you can't just end the statement there. I live to be corrected by people I respect and the people that love me and the people who want me to grow. Right?
Why do you keep correcting me?
Huh?
Okay, I'm saying.
Corrected you. Did I care and love
It was pretty. It felt pretty condescending
Accept
as you're saying it, the way you were saying it too.
I care and love you. Just deal with it. Right now in his head is a big whatever.
Yeah, whatever. How do you do it?
Talk
This
to the
way, so
hand.
whatever.
But I just remember being corrected so much in the temple. Everybody's just correcting you.
It can fry out.
Yeah, and eventually, you want to just be corrected by people who love you and care about you, and then you can hear from them. I'm not gonna let everybody correct me.
It's their childhood friend, but it was
and
kind of
also
like
as
in
a
a public.
teacher-
It was kind of like in a public setting where you were like
Yeah.
doing a reading.
As a teacher, it's like you got to learn how to have your students grow. So if you're trying to teach them things, if you're always correcting them, it just gets exhausting. You're going to end up. There's going to be some. The student's going to recoil. So you got to be a little expert at handling students. But you're setting yourself up also when you have a bunch of new people reading text with a lot of Sanskrit also. So just expect that.
Yeah, I
Sometimes I'll
mean-
just say, I'm going to read this, if I'm dealing with a lot of new people, I'm going to read this, try to understand it. And then I'll explain what the Sanskrit word is. Here's what Thakur means in this case, or, yeah.
So
Yeah, you do have a little bit of an ego. You do have a little bit of pride, but sure, they gotta pull back a little themselves. They gotta
You-
become expert teachers.
One thing is that I think it's common. I'm just going to talk in a very practical sense about learning the pronunciation of Sanskrit words, which I'm sure I mess up a lot of the time too. But when I read it, I can generally pronounce it right. Like, when I'm looking at the diacritic, I may have become habituated to some mispronunciations.
Yeah.
But
If a Sanskrit person was here, they'd be all over you.
is likely. Well, they especially, like some of them just learn Sanskrit just so that they can be all over you.
Correct. Yeah.
You
You gotta
know,
be.
like,
You can also. You can be full of your ego and recoil like you did, but people can teach from their ego. I've met lots of teachers who teach from their ego as well.
okay.
It's not pretty.
But my point was, it's actually not too hard to come to a decent level. There's some subtleties in pronunciation, like, do you pronounce it sha, 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 sha? It's like, yeah.
And then, of course, you throw in the Bengali version. It's not Jai Krishna. It's Dor. It's not Sachi, David. It's Shokri, David.
Okay.
Like, come on, people.
But my point is, it's not as difficult as it may appear. And even a long word, like sometimes we just say, I'm just going to blow through this. But actually, if you just go through it slowly, and in one sense, it's a wonderful thing to have someone like, I'm going to just help you walk through it. But again, it's another thing. It was a holiday and it was like a public reading, so maybe that's not the time and place. But we can learn these words. It's not so hard. Those diacritics they're relatively simple. But all that being said, I think that Claire, she kind of understands that she was a little bit vulnerable due to working long hours and being tired and so on. Perhaps her friend could have been a little bit more sensitive about the whole thing. Perhaps Claire
wasn't
could
her
have
friend,
been more
so-
appreciative of what was going on. But in the end, I like that, you came back, you got back together, you apologized to each other. That's the important thing. We should try to pronounce these words correctly. We shouldn't just be lazy about it or just say, oh, that's not important. No. Let's become, like Gorgo Vinamar should become Paka Vaishnava. He used to say that, right? Like, let's learn these things. It's not hard to learn. Let's learn them together. And let's just try to be sensitive as we do it.
Yeah, I think her thing was she was just new to all this stuff.
That's part of it, right? I've stopped correcting you when you mispronounce Ramayana. I just stopped. You weren't responding to it.
Yeah, it doesn't work well with me.
Okay. Why not? So easy. Ramayana.
Yeah.
No longer.
Maybe I'm doing it the Bengali way.
You're not.
Joy, Sri Krishna, joy.
All right, we're out of time, Roga.
Oh man, that's it. What a day for Q&A. That was fun. Anyway,
Tomorrow,
you know
big
what
interview.
to do. Sage Community Platform members. Is that it? Sage Community Platform members, you just write those questions in. Or
They're
email
called
them to
supporting members.
Sage Community. Say the whole thing.
Supporting members.
Supporting members. What happens
That's
to
what the
Sage
people are
Community
called.
Platform?
Well, they go to they become one by going to the Sage
A
Community
supporting
Platform.
member goes to the Sage Community Platform.
Becomes a supporting member. Yeah.
Look at Linda. She's like, oh God,
These guys are.
cannot. I told
This is
them
your
what to
responsibility.
say.
This is the
Yeah,
same kind of
and
thing here, Raghunath. It's pretty simple. You just got to spend just a little time with it to get it down, and then all your announcements will become consistent.
Baka!
Leave me alone. I've had enough.
Blah, 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 blah. I'm out of here. Make up tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Big
Q&A
interview
day.
tomorrow.
Huh?
Interview tomorrow.
Interview tomorrow. Check out that interview. I'm going to do an interview with Edwin Bryant. That's right. Fantastic author.
Jamashmi coming up.
Janmashtami Monday. We're having another special guest, Krishna Goswami, tell some Krishna Leela. We're getting ready here at Super Soul Farm. We're going to have a little Janmashtami celebration ourselves.